I'm Karen Miller, owner of Zen Tenkara, and I'm gonna walk through how to clean and take care of your Tenkara rod. Something that we should all do because as strong as these rods are, they do have a lot of moving parts, and we need to make sure that those parts are clear of debris in order to protect the rod blank and make sure that we are not putting any kind of micro fractures in the carbon fiber. So when you get done fishing with your Tenkara rod, it doesn't have to be every time, but I tell people certainly if you've fallen, if you've put your rod in the water, even if you've laid it down a lot, or it's a particularly windy day where there could be a lot of dust and debris in the air, it's a good thing to clean out your Tenkara rod. And certainly you want to do it at least a few times during the season. So in order to do that, you need a few supplies, and I'll go through what those are, and then we will take apart the rod, and I'll just show you what the easy process is. So of course you need your rod, and then a little bit of detergent. I like to use Dawn, but it doesn't matter what you want to use. I also like some Swiffer dry cloths. They're really good at removing dust and debris from your Tenkara rod prior to them being wet. And then a nice cloth for drying is always a good idea. And one of my favorite pieces of high-tech equipment are pipe cleaners, and they come in different sizes. This is a pack of 50, so it will last you almost forever. And this is a 15 millimeter pipe cleaner, so it's pretty wide. It's great for getting into those smaller sections up towards the top of your Tenkara rod. And then it also comes in really big sizes. And this is great not only for removing dust and debris from the inside of your Tenkara sections, but it's also great for drying them and just taking that last bit of moisture out after you go through the washing process. So a couple things that I like to do to clean my Tenkara rod is I'm going to go ahead and I'll do it this way. You know, you can just go ahead and after you fish, simply it's a good idea to have a nice cloth, soft cloth, or a dry cloth, and simply go over the sections and take off the debris. This is something that you may want to just keep in your fishing pack or in your car, and after you're done fishing, just a simple swipe over the length of the rod will do a lot of good. Now, something that you want to be really aware of is when you're opening and closing your rods, you want to listen and use your ears. If you start to hear scratching when you are collapsing your rods, or any kind of a grinding, gritty sound, that is a sure sign that your rod needs some TLC. And I would be very leery about actually pulling all the sections out and fishing with it. Because as I said, if you get a lot of debris in between these sections and you are opening and closing them, what you're doing is you're creating these fine micro abrasions in the carbon fiber. And doing that a few times doesn't cause a great deal of harm. But if you do that continually over a period of time, you will slowly get fractures in the carbon fiber, and then the next thing you know, you're going to be on a small fish, which should not be putting a lot of stress on your rod. You're going to set the hook, and all of a sudden you're going to get a break somewhere in your rod, and you're going to say, hey, what the heck happened? And it is very possible that if your rod is dirty and you've been opening and closing it and using it, that you've been creating these micro fractures in the carbon fiber material, which then causes a break. So doing a nice little wipe off with a dry cloth, a Swiffer, or a soft, non-abrasive towel is always a good practice. But if you want to do a little bit more thorough cleaning, then here's how we do it. First of all, if you do put a overhand knot in your Lillian, you want to go ahead and remove that knot so you can take that section out. Now, if your Tenkara rod has a swivel tip, it may not, sections 1 and 2 might have to be removed together. But you're going to go ahead and you're going to unscrew the butt cap. I just put in the sink with everything else, and I'm going to just start to remove all my sections. Put them in a sink, take them all apart. Okay. Now, if you want to do more daily maintenance and not go through the whole soap and water, you can take these pipe cleaners and simply thread them into each section and just kind of do a pull back and forth. And again, you might want to get a couple different sizes of these. They can be picked up at any craft store like a Hobby Lobby. These are a little big to go all the way through those really small sections, but they do fit through most of all the other ones. And then of course, the big one works great for those bigger sections because you do want to make sure that you're getting friction along the side and you are actually removing that dust and debris from the inside of your rod. So now you've removed dust, you're taking care of it, you're using your Swiffer to remove some of that debris on a more regular basis. You want to do a more in-depth cleaning. You're just going to take your sink, fill it up with some water, just a dash of soap. You don't need a lot. You don't want to create, a bubble bath for your Tenkara rod. But the soap does help release the debris and reduces the friction. And you want to make sure that that soapy water is getting inside all of those sections. So you want to kind of squish it around. You can even let it soak for a few minutes, just in case there's some stuff lodged in there, or you have some stubborn dirt. It doesn't have to be very long. Now I will say, while this is just soaking, Zoom rods present a little bit more of a challenge because most Zoom rods will have sections that cannot be taken apart. So let's see if I can open this. Sometimes it gets a little stuck. You can use a coin or a flathead screwdriver if you can't get that out. But this is our Suzumi rod, and it is a tri-zoom. So all of these sections do come undone. Except for this final zoom section. Because of the zoom feature, these pieces can't be taken out from the butt handle. So you have to take extra special care in cleaning these and really try to get water to flush through those sections. It's also important to get the water out of those sections really good, because if not, you get a little friction that the water droplets that are remaining in there cause, and then sometimes the pieces don't want to glide in and out quite as well. So again, this zoom section these pieces cannot be removed. So I am going to do whatever I can to take as much of the debris and dust off of them that I can by threading my pipe cleaners in and out as much as I can, knowing that I can only do my best. Let's see, I've got this crazy red one. It's pretty wild. Oops. And you just kind of thread it through. I might have done a little better by starting from the other end. This becomes a little tricky. One size down works really good, but you can actually, if you're patient, get it all the way through. You'll see it comes out the other side, and I'm doing this while my other pieces are just kind of soaking. And you just kind of want to work it through, and then here it comes. You want to be careful. You don't want to pull this through really, really fast, because you don't want to damage this edge. But just slowly pull it through. To remove any dirt. There you go. And then this whole piece can go ahead in the soak bath as well. So once those pieces have soaked and have had a chance to loosen up, then the next thing that I really want to do is flush. So I don't want any residual soap left in those sections, and I want to clear anything that is within them out of it. That's the whole point. So I'm just going to go ahead, turn my water on, and go ahead and let it run through each section. I like to kind of rotate it. You can do a little shake, and then I like to go through the other way. Definitely make sure there is no grit left in the threading of your butt section. Sometimes you'll get dirt or sand if we happen to put the handle down in the dirt. If we're messing with our flies or dealing with landing a fish, sometimes we set our rods down. So once that is thoroughly flush, I'm going to just set it over to the side. And you can do a few sections at a time. Just kind of give it a nice rinse. Get that water running through. Nice pressure to clean it out. Set it down. And just work your way through all the sections. It's not rocket science, it's pretty easy, and it really doesn't take that long, and it will extend the life of your rod and also help you avoid any unnecessary or surprise section breaks or fractures in the future by taking care of that carbon fiber. This tip section, again, is in 2 pieces because of the swivel tip and how that lilian is attached. It does not come through. So again, I'm going to just really flush that out, give it some squishing, make sure that that water flows through. I can see it dripping out the other end. and even that swivel tip, you can go ahead and give it a little twirl and make sure it's nice and clean. With that zoom section on this rod, again, I am just gonna really flush it. So I'm gonna wash it as much as I can, open up each section, move those sections around, up and down, so that I can get water moving through those sections. And again, those threads I want to be nice and clean. And if you just open those sections, don't fully extend it, but just kind of extend them halfway the length of the section, you'll see water does start to kind of come through those zoom places. You want to make sure that the cap is all nice and clean. And then what I like to do is I take a vase. Everybody's got some kind of a vase around their house. It can be a can, as long as it's sturdy and it won't tip over. Even some nice beer glasses will work. And I'll take my paper towel and just stick it down at the bottom to absorb some of that water. And then I just simply stand up all my pieces. I'll make sure that my zoom isn't really tight, that there's space in between. And I will let these dry for, usually 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes after 24 hours, I'll go ahead and I'll flip them over, all the pieces the other side. Sometimes you can blow in them just to get any excess water out, or you can go back to your trusty pipe cleaners and thread them through after about a 24-hour period and make sure you get any remaining water out of it. So that is a great way to really take care of your equipment, make sure that it lasts long and performs well for you. Thanks so much. Signing off.